Okay, guys, got a little bit of a haul going on here. Weird angle, room's a mess, different setup here a little bit just for this one video. I've had some things happen to where I have finally decided to kind of refine my collection, so there are stacks of books everywhere that I'm going to be working on getting rid of. But before we get to that, and I show you this month's haul, which is not about quantity, definitely about quality this time. But I want everybody to go sub a new channel that's up. He's getting started. He's watched videos for years. He and I have talked on the phone for a long time, which really blew my mind. I think we're going on 5 years of talking on the phone over the years. And I've always wanted to see him do a comic book channel because the guy has sent me pictures of his collection. He's told me about it. We've had real long talks over the years where we went until our phones died and things like that. But it is the channel is Charlton66. Hopefully I'll be able to get a link down below. Go sub the guy. He's a good guy, great collection, knows his stuff. I'm just really happy he's finally got a channel going and stuff. I've been tweeting his videos that he's been putting out so far. Really good stuff, just good stuff. But anyway, now for the month of well, we're into July now, so yeah, we'll just say this is the July haul. This is what I've gotten over the last 2 weeks already. Maybe bleeding into the last week of June, I'm not sure. But I ended up playing on eBay a little bit, where I'm going through my collection and I'm checking out what some of those eBay prices are to try to figure out how to get rid of some of this stuff. I ended up finding some deals, and I'm weak. I'm so weak. Okay. So the first thing I got for like $2.81 was a hardback edition of Neil Gaiman's Endless Nights, which pretty much, I think the way this runs, it runs after The Wake. Okay, I mean, the stories in here are, I think each member of the Endless family, of Sandman's family, Sandman gets a story in here also, has a story and an artist on each one. And so far what I've read, these are fantastic, right? This thing actually won a Bram Stoker Award. And it seems like there was something else kind of acclaimed about this and stuff. But, you know, I got the soft cover a few months ago finally. This thing came out like in 2003 or something. And it has P. Craig Russell doing a story, Bill Sienkiewicz doing a story. It has a story that is drawn by Frank Quitely with Destiny of the Endless. And sadly enough, the way I remember it with this thing that was coming out, Mobius was going to do the story, and but you know, his health kept him from doing it, so Frank Quitely ended up getting the gig there and stuff, right? I think 6 or 7 great stories in here. My favorite one in here is, oh my god, Heart of Darkness, I think is what it is, the dream story in it, because it takes place billions and billions of years ago. And there's characters in it where you get to see that Sandman is in the DC universe, even though it's Vertigo. Got into a little Twitter chat about how in the 90s they really wouldn't give you a straight answer about how some of these characters like Swamp Thing and Sandman and things got slapped with the Vertigo banner and actually had some characters from the DC universe proper in them, but they kind of acted like Vertigo was separate. Then you had some ones that the Vertigo would say this is not part of the DC universe. But anyway, the Heart of Darkness, if that's what it's called. Let me make sure here. Dream. It just says Dream. Okay, anyway. But anyway, it takes place like billions and billions of years ago. And all the suns and the planets actually have a human-type form that they've taken to come to like this this party. We'll just leave it at that. I don't want to ruin the story or anything like that. But you see Rayo, which is Krypton's son. Sol, the Earth sun, is like real little, and all the other older suns and things like that are looking at him. There's a female Owen, and their son is there also, who is, you know, a ancestor of the Guardians of the Galaxy and things like that. If you know your DC lore, he's worked him in there really well. Gaiman has. But what's really unique is one of the things about Sandman when you read Sandman was that death, instead of being the dark and gloomy death and, you know, being scary, was kind of like Mary Poppins, right? And then you had Dream, who you would think would be kind of like Mary Poppins, was just gloomy and very Tim Burton like, and he's an artist, and you know, he can't find love and all this stuff. This takes place so far back in time. That's how the members of the Endless that pop up really are. Death is everyone's scared of them and gloomy and walking around, and Dream is just very optimistic and bouncy and stuff. And it was actually jarring to see those characters acting that way. So Neil Gaiman has shown that when you're immortal, you pretty much go through a lot of phases as you change, right? Next one I'm very excited about, okay? Ran across this. I have no idea where I heard about this. I'm sure it was online or something, but this is done by a guy named Tom Scioli. Scioli, right? Guy lives in Pittsburgh. A couple years ago, I decided to start getting my books signed. I'd go to these Heroes Cons, I would go to Heroes Con and other comic book conventions, and 90% of the time my nose were stuck in the boxes trying to hit everything there, finding bargains and stuff. And slowly I started coming out, deciding I kind of want to enjoy some of these conventions and spend a little bit more time taking pictures of the cosplayers, meeting other people, and finally got around to let's get some comic books signed. And I'm one of those people that, even though I've got a whole short box now, and a few extra there, I'm never real comfortable with ink of any other sort, being thrown on there like graffiti on a comic. I can't help it. Pseudonym, Arthur Pseudonym, Bill Sinkovich. It seems like they're Jim Steranko even. He's signed my shield here. Their signatures are, they made them a piece of artwork themselves, so they kind of fit on the books, but not every artist is like that. Cut to Tom Scioli. I had Godland here. It's right here somewhere, right? And I went to him first with Godland #1, and that was going to be my first comic I had signed in forever. I'm sure I did a few here and there over the years, but not much. But this is when so I get there, and my worst nightmare comes true. He whips out, he takes my Godland book, and he whips out a blue ink pen, and he writes his name on it in bubble letters, like we're in 6th grade, and he's writing his name on the back of a notebook or something. I thought I was going to fly over there and clothesline the dude. It was real jarring, It was just the worst thing possible. And my buddy Tim Anderson, we were riding together, and he just the indignance that I showed towards it all the way back home and stuff cracked him up. So apparently it really pissed me off. Flash forward now to American Barbarian. Okay, this is a hardback. There's a softback version. I think I found this for $7, $8, somewhere around in there, free shipping. So I got this because I'd heard about this book. And turns out this is a web comic that Tom Scioli did. And this thing is influenced big time by Kirby, Commandy, Thundar, He-Man, Black Star, a whole bunch of Saturday morning cartoons. And I love this thing. I got it in today, and I've already read over half of it. That's where I'm at in the book, right? And the pages are a grainy yellow to where it feels, really old. But the American Barbarian is on a mission of revenge against Two-Tank Omen, because basically he killed all his brothers and his father, who were guardians of this one little town in this post-apocalyptic world. There's even Ukla the Mock in there. I see Thundar in there, as you can see, if you know what I'm talking about when it comes to your Saturday morning cartoons. And this thing's just fantastic. They're in, that is I think he's about 25 foot tall or something. But anyway, that is Two-Tank Omen, the bad guy, fighting our American Barbarian. And this thing is just so funny. Very heavily Kirby influence. I'm just having a blast with this thing. Right? So this is really good. It's a web comic that he did. This thing came out, I think, around 2012 or something. Fantastic find. I've had a blast and fun with it. A breath of fresh air. Tom Scioli himself, I was talking to Comic Quarter on the phone, and we were talking about the guy, and he's really on a plane of existence all of his own. And which is probably why his work is so unique, and he's able to tap into making you really feel like you're reading something from the 80s. But Comic Quarter came up with the perfect way to describe the guy, right? Is basically there's this old urban myth about a guy who was a drug dealer who had a bunch of sheets of acid, and the cops started chasing him, so he shoved it down his shirt, and he was running, and as he ran he sweated and he absorbed all of the LSD and the acid and was never the same. It's kind of what it's like talking to Scioli. But I can only say that after talking to Matt, my mind went to describe his work as it feels like underground comics without the drug influence. So, just really good stuff. Really happy to find that. getting closer and closer to completing. I'm doing two things. I'm trying to find these trades for a good deal, and then I'm also collecting, I want 25 to 300. I'm not going to get all 300 issues. I'm just not there unless I find a good deal on them stuff. So now we got one more trade knocked out of the way. Latter Days. This is trade number 15 out of 16 of the complete Cerebus run, the phone book edition here, right? And I got a real good deal on this. They had an option to make an offer. We got it for $5 less than what they were going for. I cannot remember if shipping was free or not. But I'm subscribed to Dave Sim's YouTube channel. And a couple months ago, maybe a year ago, I don't know, he was talking about, the trades that were out there. And he told his team to take the first trade, the first 25 issues of Cerebus, and make them be able to be downloaded for free. And they were like, what are you doing? Well, once they did that and everybody got a taste of Cerebus, there was like a resurgence, of people downloading these online. That first one was enough to give them a taste. Now, I tell people one of two things. If you want the complete story of Cerebus, you just need the first 200 issues. After issue 150, they get kind of spotty. Okay, I'd have to go into all of the Cerebus and stuff, right? But this one reprints from 266 to 288, and this is when Dave Sim. Well, anyway, going back to Dave Sim, what he was saying, but Latter Days, Diamond Distributors got a hold of him and said there was a demand for Latter Days all of a sudden. We'll say it was last year. It's it has not been that long. So out of all the trades, my theory is that this thing is practically unreadable, and I think people have rediscovered Cerebus on the back issue market and things like that. Or there's completists who read Cerebus and they're like me, it's time for me to read this whole thing. And Latter Days was probably one of the weaker selling trades out of all this, I'm guessing, because this is when Dave Sim went from being an atheist to studying different religions to do this story, and Dave Sim ended up forming his own kind of religion that he follows, where he pulls from several things. And all of a sudden, it really influenced Latter Days, where this has been described as unreadable. And I've gone through some of the chapters in here and stuff, and I see what they're saying. It has the Three Stooges in it, Woody Allen in it, and Cerebus ends up forming his own religion. You can be a Cerebite if you follow what he's done. But we get notes in here, and the way he's drawn it, we get like all kinds of prose. I don't know if that's going to show up. Now, the artwork in this is tight. It is fantastic. If you get the artwork in here, it's just spot on. It's crisp, clean, neat. These guys have their stuff together. Gerard and Dave Sim. So anyway, I will attempt to read this, but like I said, we get Woody Allen scripts and Woody Allen prose in here, and just scripture. There's actual scripture in here where I think Cerebus looks like he might be describing his new religion. But looks like they take a shot at mouse in there. There's a mouse in there. Howler mouse and mouse. I'll stop on that, so it goes for a while. Alright, so moving on. That's just a few of the trades. Got those on eBay. I've got 2 more trades coming in on eBay, and I'm done. I'm staying off eBay. I've got Church and State 1 and 2 coming in the phone book trades. I have over half the series that I think I'm up to like 165-ish issues of the 275 issues I want to get. So I'm doing pretty good. Considering I'm getting them on the cheap, and friends are sending me some as they find them, and they're offering to help and things like that. I've had 2 YouTubers send me some books, and a bunch of other people tell me that, send them some issue numbers and get them for me. So I appreciate you guys. Now, these other 2 books here, I went ahead and paid. I got a good deal on them. And I didn't feel bad spending the money on these, because I got these collectible issues that have been hot over the years for basically the price of a new comic book. I always go for the quarter bins, dollar bins, and try to get a hustle on them and try to get a whole bunch of books. I was fine getting these because I need this. I bought this storyline off the racks in the 2008. When this came out, I think it was like 87 or 88, 1987, so I was 14, and I bought it off the racks. And I kept it up until about 2008, so over 20 years and stuff. And it's one of the few things I kind of regret selling, because I will never have those issues that I bought off the rack and kept all those years, but you know, I found them. But I went ahead and got this for a really good deal. Part 3, Batman Year 1, Batman 406. It says April 87, so this came out in February 87. Like I said, this is just a fantastic issue, and number 3 is the one that's eluded me. I've got 2-3 copies of all the other ones, but for some reason, and I'm guessing it's because of the cool artwork and Batman kicking ass on the SWAT team, and the SWAT team not being able to take him down, and you know, it's a dirty, gritty little fight going on there. So finally got that. And then this is one that I never thought that if I would get, it would not be in this good a shape, or I wouldn't be able to get a good bargain on. But this thing is an $80 book, I think. I should have looked it up. And I remember seeing this thing selling on eBay from $60 to $100, you know, not too long ago. But I got Adventure Comics in a very good shape, 462. I think I got this for $6. This is the Death of Batman of Earth 2 from the 70s. You know, and I love my Earth 2. But when this book got hot, I was just sort of like, really? You know, just never thought I'd be able to touch it again. So it was really good to find this, and it's definitely cooled off. But you know, Batman fans will know what it is. Then this one, I just wanted this format, and it was a good deal. I got 6 of these for $5. Okay, and the covers are fantastic, and it's Star Wars. But you know, classic Star Wars. I don't know what year this is, but what they did is they reprinted the first, I don't know, couple issues of the classic Marvel book that came out like in 77, 78 that Howard Chaykin did and Roy Thomas, where they adapted Star Wars New Hope. Well, Dark Horse, you know, had the license for years, you know, decades even, of the Star Wars books, and there's a lot of people that are a fan of those. And I've read a couple of them over the years of some of the books they were putting out. Some were just spot on and dead on, and some were just sort of like, oh, okay, you know. But look at this fantastic Art Adams cover. Okay, these are square bound, like brand new. And here's part 2 with an Adam Hughes cover. So that adapts the New Hope from the classic Marvel series. Classic Star Wars. I've got 2-3 copies of this second part of this, but here's the first part for Empire Strikes Back. This is from the original Star Wars series back in the early, you know, 70s to 80s that I was showing you. Well, they took Al Williamson's artwork in those Star Wars issues, and they, you know, made them square bound with some fantastic art. I think this is the one I've got 2-3 copies of, you know. And then these two just tickled me to death because I still had the original miniseries with the Al Williamson pinups in the back of them. It was a 4-issue miniseries that's probably broke down from a Marvel Super Special or something. But anyway, you know, the comic book adaptation of Star Wars Return of the Jedi, which holds a bit of nostalgia for me, and there's an Adam Hughes cover. So I got those, and while I was working the last week of June, I ended up in Northern Virginia, and I took lunch after I did what I was supposed to be doing up there, and I looked across the parking lot, and there's an indoor flea market, real small, probably makes about 4 of my bedroom. It was this room here, you know, not real big, but I found this for $1, the Overstreet Comic Book Price Guide 26th edition. I got this for $1, and I had to get it because it's a Tony Harris cover, and there's Starman on it. You know, I'm a huge fan of Starman, and there's Spectre and everybody. So that was kind of cool to get. I think this is from like 96 or something. Yeah, who knows. Alright guys, that's it. Again, go sub Charlton66. I'll put a link below after this thing loads and stuff, right? Later guys.